Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It is becoming evidently clear that Donald Trump is the favorite to defeat Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election. Now, Donald Trump has flipped two swing states, critical battleground states, on the RCP Real Clear Politics map. Nevada and Michigan are now in the Donald Trump column. It is the first time he has led in both those states on the averages on RCP ever since Kamala Harris became the nominee. Obviously, he was winning both those states when Biden was still in the race, but now they are flipping, and it looks like Wisconsin is on the track to follow Michigan and Nevada's path of flipping to Donald Trump's column as well. He has now officially surpassed 300 electoral votes over Kamala Harris for the first time on the Real Clear Politics polling averages on the electoral map ever since obviously Biden had withdrawn from the race, because he was originally already past 300 when Biden was still in the race. Literally, Kamala Harris is polling worse than Hillary Clinton from 2016, and she obviously originally lost. So Kamala Harris, as we all know, is on the path of losing as well. And in every single election in 2016 and in 2020, and basically every other election in previous years before that, there is an average of 4% polling error in every single election. There's roughly a 4-point polling error, and if you apply that to every single swing state, then realistically Donald Trump is on the path of maybe something close to an electoral landslide. But before we get started with the RCP latest polls from every single state, make sure you guys are subscribed, click the bell so you don't miss out my content, press like button, share this video if you are interested. Don't forget, we do have memberships. You can find a link to that in the description section. So, it is official that Donald Trump has surpassed 300 electoral votes on the RCP polling averages. But in this video, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to focus on the latest polls instead of the actual averages, starting off with the state of Nevada. So, as of right now, Donald Trump is up by 6 points according to the Wall Street Journal, the latest poll. He's cracking 49% to Kamala Harris's 43% according to the latest poll. And keep in mind, Wall Street Journal is a left-leaning pollster, and the fact that Trump's up by 6, a likely margin is not good for him. Good for her, excuse me. October 10 is when this poll came out, obviously on Thursday. So we're going to be filling in Nevada, likely for Donald Trump. By 6 points according to the Wall Street Journal, the latest poll obviously, and you take a look at the RCP average electoral map, Trump has now flipped it, like I just mentioned earlier, just like he did in Michigan a few days ago. And then the Texas, Donald Trump's up by 7 points, also a likely margin. From Marist pollster, he's at 53% to Kamala Harris's 46% as of October 9th. The latest poll has Trump up by a likely margin in the state of Texas. And we go back to Nevada. I think he's going to flip Washoe County. If he's going to win the state by 6, he's definitely going to do way better in Clark County, the Vegas area, among Hispanic voters as well. I skipped Arizona. I don't know why. Also a border state just like Texas. It's a losing issue for Kamala Harris, obviously. But the latest poll from the Wall Street Journal, just like I mentioned, is left-leaning pollster, which still has Trump up by 6 in Nevada, which is scary for Kamala. And yes, they tend to overestimate Republicans in Nevada, but that's besides the point. She's winning Arizona by a lean margin from the latest pollster. Now, if you take a look at the averages alone, then yes, Donald Trump is having about a 1-point lead in the state of Arizona, but this video is based off the latest polls instead of the actual averages. I did do the averages in the previous video before this, so you can actually check that out. And then we go back to Texas. Obviously, it's a border state. Not good for Kamala Harris. She can't address the issue of, the border at all. I mean, she was literally put in charge of it. She couldn't do anything to stop it. And then we go to Florida. Obviously, there's a major hurricane. So in regards to if it can impact the voting process, maybe it can. I'm not sure how that's going to pan out. I do think Ron DeSantis is probably going to make sure that Donald Trump does good in this state. So maybe it could affect, maybe it won't. But the latest poll has him up by only 4, which is scary for him. If he's going to win Florida by only 4 on election day, then I don't think he's going to win the election. I think he's going to win by more than 4, which is why I think he's going to win the election by a likely margin. So I would have to disagree with this. But according to the Marist poll from October 9th, he's at 51% to Kamala Harris's 47%. Even though he's winning it, he's supposed to win it by more than just 4. Lean margin is not going to be enough for him. That's actually underperforming Marco Rubio and DeSantis from the 2022 midterms. But it is true that Miami-Dade County actually flipped from blue to red in those midterm elections. Cuban Americans as well, showing major shifts towards the GOP In Florida, it is getting redder as we move towards the future. And as for Georgia, the latest poll from the Wall Street Journal has Kamala up by 2 percentage points, 48% to Donald Trump's 46% as of October 10th. And obviously, this is not good news for Donald Trump in Georgia. I think this could be one of the more, closer states for Kamala Harris. Doesn't mean she's going to win it. I do have Trump winning it by a tilt margin of about a percentage point. But if you take a look at the rest of the polls before the Wall Street Journal, Trump's up by 1 from Trafalgar, which is a right-leaning pollster. And the fact that he's only up by 1 in a right-biased pollster is not good news for him. The Hill and Emerson, a highly rated pollster, A+ and 538, has Trump up by only 1%. Not good news for him in Georgia. So she is going to win this state. Now, according to the average, yes, Donald Trump is winning Georgia by a tilt margin, but that's not what we're focusing on. It's going to be, obviously, the latest polls is what this video is about. And then as for North Carolina, the latest poll from the Wall Street Journal has it Trump up, actually has it a tie at 47 to 47%. Now, I'm not going to be lame. It's going to be boring if I just leave it a tie in this video. So we take a look at the latest pollster before the tie from the Hill and Emerson, a highly trustworthy pollster. October 9 has Trump up by 1 percentage point in the state of North Carolina at tilt margin. So he will be taking the state's, I believe, 16 electoral votes. And then we have the state of Minnesota moving towards the Rust Belt. Before we end off this video, Rasmussen reports a right-leaning pollster, which they are not very accurate when it comes to the national popular vote, but in terms of the actual swing state-by-state polls, they were actually pretty spot on in the 2020 election, probably more accurate than anything else. But Kamala is up by 3 in Minnesota. That's not very good for her. Now, Biden was actually performing worse than Kamala Harris when he was still in the race, but still, it's not good news for Kamala Harris according to the latest poll. Now, because it's a right-leaning pollster, I'm not going to trust her. I think she will win by more, probably like 5 to 6, closer to that margin. Probably a likely one for her, but she is getting exactly 49% on the average to Donald Trump's 44%. So she still will win Minnesota by a lean margin, as I do think she will. I think, Minneapolis, the suburbs here, are going to trend towards the left, especially with that woman vote, because Tim Walz obviously is literally the governor here, and he is on the ticket with Kamala Harris. I think he will carry her with the votes, because obviously home state advantage electorally. He is literally her VP, and he is the governor here, like I just mentioned. And then we have Wisconsin, in which this state had the worst polling error, with the exception of New York in the 2020 election. Wisconsin, right before the election, had Biden up by 6. He didn't get anywhere near there. He only won it by 0.6, 20,000 votes, which, by the way, is actually less of a margin than Trump's victory in this state back in the 2016 election. The Wall Street Journal, a left-leaning pollster, has it a dead tie at 48, evenly split. The Hill and Emerson has it a dead tie at 49%. Insider Advantage has it a dead tie at 48%. We have 3 polls back to back to back consistently has a dead tie. That's how close Wisconsin is. Now, considering the recent polling error in this state, they're going to underestimate Donald Trump significantly. Realistically, he's going to win this state. So we refer to the polls, the latest poll before the ties, which happens to be Quinnipiac, which has Donald Trump up by 2% in this state. He's cracking 49% to Kamala Harris's 47%. Keep in mind, Quinnipiac is a left-leaning pollster, and he's up by a lean margin. Is scary numbers for Kamala Harris. And just like I mentioned earlier in the video, Donald Trump is actually losing Wisconsin according to the averages on the map. But that state looks like it's going to flip, just like Michigan and Nevada, if it consistently goes in that pattern in which Donald Trump's numbers is rising as we get closer to Election Day, November 5th. And then we have Michigan, in which, by the way, Wisconsin was the reddest rustful state in 2020, 2016, and the Obama era as well. It voted to the right of both Michigan and Pennsylvania. So it makes you think it's not going to go to Donald Trump this time, considering it had the worst polling error out of any other state besides New York. So we have Michigan, which there is a large uncommitted vote of 100,000 voters voting uncommitted in the Democratic primaries. We need to keep an eye on that, which is why I think Democrats don't have the enthusiasm as they once did back in 2020 in the state. Now, it is true, this state was the bluest Rust Belt state, the exact opposite of Wisconsin. It voted to the left of Pennsylvania and Wisconsin in 2020 and 2016 as well. But the Wall Street Journal has Harris up by 2. I do think this probably would be the best chance for Harris to win if she's going to win at least one Rust Belt state. I do think it would be Michigan probably, but she is cracking 49% to Donald Trump's 47% as of October 10th, a lean margin. And then we have the last and final state to cover for this video, Pennsylvania, in which on the RCP average, Donald Trump has also flipped that state as well, just like he did with Michigan and Nevada. And as of right now, it looks like he's on track to do the same with Wisconsin as well, getting close to 312 electoral votes. He's up by 1 from the Wall Street Journal, just like I mentioned earlier, a left-leaning pollster. So realistically, he might be up by even more than that, considering that on average in every single election, there's roughly a 4-point polling error. So he might be up by like a lean margin realistically, but as of October 10, he's going to win it by a tilt margin as of right now. I expect him to flip Erie County, have improved better in terms of margins in Central County. It's right next to it's close to Butler County as well, which he got shot there, which I think that can drive turnout possibly in Pittsburgh County, some of these stronghold Democratic counties, including Philadelphia as well. I think Trump's going to flip Northampton County. Northampton only went to Biden by 0.7%. Trump also had a rally in Scranton, Pennsylvania as well. So I do think he's on track to flip Pennsylvania. So he's going to get 270 electoral votes to Kamala Harris's 268, an extremely tight election according to the latest polls. Now, the latest polls is completely different from the polling averages. Like I just mentioned, the previous video I just did, I did the polling averages in which Donald Trump was winning by even more than just 270 electoral votes. And you take a look at the RCP map, he has flipped Michigan and Nevada as well. So he's actually winning by more than 270. But from the latest polls, this is how the map looks like. Let me know what states you agree with or disagree with in the comment section down below. One last final reminder is to subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss out my content, press the like button, share this video. Don't forget we do have memberships. You can find the link to that in the description section if you are interested. That's pretty much it. Thank you everyone for watching.